So today we're looking at Combat Master Season 5, a free-to-play shooter that honestly feels like a low-budget version of Call of Duty. I don't necessarily mean that in a bad way. Now going into this, I wasn't expecting anything groundbreaking, but after spending some time with it, I actually ended up having some fun. A pretty decent time. This game is very fast-paced, the moments feel snappy, and if you enjoy arcade-style shooters where you're constantly running into action, then this is definitely that kind of energy. The first thing I noticed though was the aiming. The gun staying high up on the screen while aiming down the sights felt a little annoying at first. It just looked a bit awkward and took some getting used to. Now to be fair, there may actually be an option to change that in the settings. I ain't had a proper look yet, so if there is, that could improve the experience quite a bit. But straight away, that was one of the first things that stood out to me. Another thing that definitely needs some work is the spawning system. The spawns can be really rough at times. There were multiple moments where I spawned directly in front of enemies or even behind enemies, and sometimes it spawned behind me as well. It creates a lot of chaotic moments that can be frustrating, especially if you're trying to go on a streak, but honestly, even bigger games like Call of Duty still struggle with spawns. So while it is annoying, it's not exactly something unique to this game. Where the game does shine though, is the action. The pacing is honestly pretty fun. There's barely any downtime, and if you enjoy jumping straight into fights without waiting around, this game is absolutely delivers on that. It reminded me a lot of the older arcade shooters where you could just load in, switch your brain off for a bit and enjoy the chaos. There's also a surprisingly decent amount of game modes available. You've got the usual modes like Team Deathmatch, Kill Confirm, Dominations, Arms Race and Search and Destroying. But the mode that interested me the most was actually Capture the Flag. Now if you're like me and you played the older shooters back in the day, Capture Flag was one of those modes that would keep you entertained for hours. It feels like a modern shooter, especially hardcore playlists in games like Call of Duty. They barely focus on modes like that anymore, so seeing it included here was actually a nice surprise. It gives the game a bit more variety instead of just endless team deathmatches over and over again. There are also some more unique sounding modes in here like Combat Master and Demon Slayer, which I didn't really get enough time to fully dive into today, but they definitely add to the overall variety. The maps themselves were also more interesting than I expected. There's a decent range of locations to play on, and a few of them genuinely looked pretty cool. Maps like Museum, High Rise and Subway stood out to me straight away. They all have a slightly different layouts and styles, which helps to stop the gameplay from feeling too repetitive. For a free-to-play shooter, I think Combat Master Season 5 is definitely worth checking out, especially if you're looking for something quick and action-packed without spending loads of money. It's probably not going to replace Call of Duty anytime soon, but it doesn't really need to. It feels like it's a solid alternative for players who just want some fast arcade shooter gameplay. Overall, I'd give it out a 6 out of 10.